Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nidhi and you're watching my series on how to become a cabin crew. So today's focus is basically on overseas candidates who have recently cleared their Singapore Airlines interview and will be joining Singapore Airlines very soon. I know you guys have a lot of questions and you've been sending me a lot of Instagram messages on my Facebook, my YouTube and my email. So I've collated all these questions and I've decided to do this video where I'm going to be talking about everything that you need to do from the moment that you actually get selected with Singapore Airlines in your home country to the point when you actually commence training in Singapore with Singapore Airlines. So I hope I managed to cover everything. This video might be a little bit lengthy, but please make sure that you watch it all the way till the end, and this could be really useful for people who are applying for cabin crew with Singapore Airlines as well. And I'm really thankful to a lot of people who have shared all this information with me, and that is the reason I'm able to actually share this information with you today. So thank you very much everyone, you know who you are. So let's get started. First and foremost, when you actually clear your interview with Singapore Airlines, what happens is they will ask you to go for medical rounds in your home country itself. Now, I have made a detailed video on what these medical rounds are usually about. You can go ahead and watch that video to know what exactly and how you need to prepare yourself. Once you clear your medical round, which takes 2 to 3 weeks, or it could take a little bit more as well, really depending upon Singapore Airlines and the amount of time that they need to get everything sorted. They will send you an email saying that you have cleared your medical and we're going to apply for your work pass. So what happens with Singapore Airlines is once they have got the information that you're medically fit and they have all the information in terms of your educational certificates, your birth certificate and all the other requirements and documents they basically ask you to submit, they will go ahead and apply for a work permit or a work pass with the Ministry of Manpower here in Singapore. And once the MOM or the Ministry of Manpower basically approves your work pass, then they will actually send you an email saying congratulations, your work pass has been approved, you will be traveling on this particular date and this would be your flight details, and we'll be sending you an air ticket very soon, and you have cleared all the rounds and you've cleared your medical rounds as well. And this email would also contain a lot of other information that we will talk about along the way. So once that happens, basically, the second thing you would want to know is that who basically takes care of the air ticket and the visa that you need to have when you'll be traveling. So Singapore Airlines will take care of all that. They will apply for a visa for you. They will apply for your air tickets. They will provide you with the air tickets and they will take care of all that expense. You do not really have to worry about it. If you've been asking me questions like what is the allowance, what is the baggage allowance, what should we carry with us when we're coming to Singapore. So from people who have shared information with me, what I know is basically you only get 40 kgs of check-in allowance and you get 7 kgs in your hand carry. So what you can do basically is you can split that 40 kgs into 20 kgs, maybe carry 2 bags. I wouldn't advise you to carry more than that because then it becomes really tedious. You'll have so many things to take care of. And of course for your hand carry, you can carry up to 7 kgs, and on top of that you can actually also carry a laptop bag and a handbag. So that's how it works. So when it comes to packing what you need to bring over to Singapore, some of you ask me questions in terms of what you should carry so that you do not overextend the limit that you have. What I would definitely advise you to take note of would be the grooming standards. Now Singapore Airlines is very particular about what you wear when it comes to training. They will give you a specific guideline in terms of the clothes that you need to wear, the accessories that you need to wear, the shoes, the types of shoes that you need to wear when you're doing training with Singapore Airlines. And honestly, Singapore is an expensive place. So my advice would be to actually use your luggage space to make sure that you have all these things so you do not really have to spend a lot of money on these things when you come to Singapore. I would also advise you to carry your makeup with you, although we're going to talk about the makeup a little bit later. Singapore Airlines has its own grooming guide, and sometimes they want you to wear specific colors from specific brands because they go with your uniform and of course your entire look. So I'm going to talk about the amount of money that you need to keep aside for that as well. But apart from that, I would definitely advise you to use that space to carry all these things, your toiletries, your makeup kit that you basically need to survive these 3 to 3.5 months of the training period, because you definitely do not want to spend a lot of money during this time. When it comes to carrying food items or utensils, my advice would be that you don't really need to use your luggage space to carry all that, because Singapore is a multiracial country. We have lots of food available here from different cuisines to different kind of supermarkets catering to different kind of ethnic groups. So you can basically get everything here. But if you are somebody who likes to cook your own food, yes, you can carry some of the basic utensils that you would require to basically make your own food, or for that matter of fact, some of the things that you might need to make your own food, like your spices and some of the things that you definitely want to have when it comes to your food cravings. In terms of the money that you want to carry with you when you're coming to Singapore. Now, Singapore Airlines does tell you that you need to carry a certain amount of money, which I believe is between $3,000 to $3,500 in cash with you when you're coming to Singapore. The primary reason is because here, when you're paying for your accommodation, Singapore Airlines does not cover your accommodation. So you will have to deposit some sort of money for your rental, and of course you have to pay in advance for your rental as well. So you would need cash to basically take care of all these things, and of course your daily necessities. You can definitely use your credit card to do all that as well, but be ready to basically take a hit on the exchange rate if that's okay with you. But I definitely wouldn't recommend you to carry a debit card, because when you're using a debit card to take out the money over the ATM, especially when you're overseas, of course there will be charges, and you definitely do not want to incur more expenses. So a credit card would be a wonderful idea if that is your way of going about spending your money, but I would definitely recommend you to carry cash with you as well, whatever is recommended, because you need to have that amount to pay for the visa fees, some of the makeup products that you need to buy during the training, and of course for your rent. So these are some of the main things that you would need all that cash for. Talking about the visa fees, of course, when it comes to the visas that you need to apply for when you're traveling with Singapore Airlines, don't worry, Singapore Airlines would reimburse the visa fees to you, but that is something we can talk about later. We don't really have to talk about it right now. So that's about the monetary part, or the financial part of it, that you need to be aware of. The other thing that you want to make sure that you carry with you, and probably one of the most important things, is all your documentation, because you will be in a foreign land. You want to make sure that you have all your educational certificates with you that you require to be employed with Singapore Airlines, your birth certificates, all the necessary passport size photographs that they ask you for, and any and everything that they basically ask you for in terms of the documentation. Please make sure that you have it, because that is very important to ensure that you get your work permit sorted in Singapore. So now that you're all ready and packed to come to Singapore, let's talk about what happens when you land here. Now, when you land here, basically they would have given you some sort of information in terms of how you will get around, where exactly would you be staying. In terms of your accommodation, Singapore Airlines gives you 7 days of hotel accommodation, which is absolutely free. Now, this hotel accommodation does not cover your food, it does not cover your other expenses, it's purely hotel accommodation. And also, Singapore Airlines does not provide any accommodation to cabin crew, unlike Emirates and Qatar, where the airlines actually provide you the accommodation. Singapore Airlines does not do that, so you have to find your own accommodation. So the 7 days that you have here, there are a few things that you need to do. Number one, you need to make sure you do your medical, which has to be done here again. Again, the rounds that would be Again, the medical that you need to do here is going to be pretty much same that you've gone through in your home country, so you don't really have to worry about it. If you manage to clear your medical in your home country, most likely you should be able to clear your medical here as well, unless you haven't declared anything in particular. So make sure that you get that part sorted. And of course, the second thing that you need to do when you're here is to make sure you find accommodation. Now, Singapore Airlines does give you some references in terms of the property agents that you can get in touch with, but if you are coming to Singapore, and since I'm here, I usually like to help out people. I do have friends who are property agents, so do get in touch with me and I can link you up with them. That's one of the small things that I can do for all of you. But again, during these 7 days, there are a few other things that you need to do. You need to make sure you get your work pass sorted. So all this information basically will be provided to you. Now, the question here that a lot of you usually ask me is, what happens if we do not clear our medical rounds? First and foremost, I hope that does not happen, but for any reason if that happens, Singapore Airlines will provide you with the necessary air ticket to basically go back home, because unless and until you clear your medical round here, the Ministry of Manpower will not give you the work pass. If you do not have the work pass, you basically cannot commence your employment with Singapore Airlines. So what happens here is basically during that time you will also be eligible to get your work pass, which you will get in some time, and once you have all that sorted, then you can go ahead and open up your bank accounts, and you can go ahead and get all the other things sorted in terms of how you're going to pay for your rentals and some of the other things which we don't necessarily have to talk about in this video, because once you get here you can meet me and I can tell you all that information in detail. But again, these 7 days is what you need for all these things to get sorted, and that's it. Basically, that's when you actually commence your employment with Singapore Airlines and you get into the training. And the training with Singapore Airlines usually lasts for about 3 to 3.5 months, which includes everything from your on-the-job training to your solo flights to your learning flights, to your fleet training, to your safety training, and everything else. Okay, one of the other things that you also need to apply when it comes to Singapore Airlines is a mobile connection, because Singapore Airlines wants you to be connected at all times, even when you're traveling overseas on your flights, and that is something which is your responsibility. So there are options here where you can sign contracts with different mobile companies and you can get that part sorted. This is the information that I wanted to share with you, and I hope I was able to answer all the questions that all of you have been asking me in terms of what are the things that you need to prepare for if you're coming from overseas to Singapore to become a cabin crew with Singapore Airlines, or rather I should say to join Singapore Airlines as their cabin crew. So I really hope that you find this information useful, and if you do, do remember to like this video, do share it with your friends, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel and press the notification bell for more video updates. And in the meantime, all of you out there, if you're preparing for your next cabin crew interview, do get in touch with me for personal coaching sessions. My email address is mentioned below, and make sure all of you out there always stay pretty, stay handsome, and I love you guys. Bye.